Thank you, Claire. My name is Vicky Foster. I'm the Senior Research and Knowledge Transfer Manager with the HGCA, and the main responsibility I have is for really developing the research programme so we can deliver some of the results that you've heard today, so really making sure we can deliver information that are going to make a difference to the industry. So just a little reminder of kind of why we're here. What does HGCA do? Why is it so important we do this? Well, we're here really to deliver a world-class arable industry, and we can do this through independence, it's been mentioned already this morning, through innovation, and also through investment. And that's really important that, we can use these three tactics to really make a difference for the industry going forward. So yes, Claire stole my thunder. Bang, this is launch day. This is really exciting for me. So this is really kicking off the time when we're going to start our consultation period to find out really what the industry needs HGCA to be investing in over the next 4 to 5 years. So we've got a fantastic captive audience in you here today, so we're going to have a little bit of fun in a few minutes' time. I think what we have in the room is a very forward-looking group of people, a very sort of technical group of people that are really interested in taking the industry forward. So just a little bit of a reminder of what came out of last time. So we did the last consultation in 2010. And this is just a selection of the results that we got back from the advisor group. So we could split the results we got back by different groups. So this is focused on the advisors. And you can see here that really the sort of first 6 bars on this chart emphasise what you thought the priorities were for HGCA to invest in new research activities. So this included crop nutrition management, agrochemical performance, pest and disease forecasting, integrated crop management, particularly around weed control there and managing resistance, soil management and managing food safety. And again, a particular emphasis there was brought around mycotoxins. And then you can see we had another bunch then, another sort of group of 4 categories, which there was still a lot of interest in. And this was focusing around sort of responding to legislation and the impacts of legislation, to adapting to the impacts of climate change, precision farming, and a bit around understanding carbon footprinting and greenhouse gas mitigation. And what's also important, what comes out of these surveys and these consultations that we do, is actually things that perhaps HGCA should not be focusing on. And I think we got a clear message last time that actually equipment and machinery manufacture, it was felt at that point, a lot of that work was being done by the commercial sector. And actually, HGCA maybe shouldn't be investing too much resources in this area. So investing in innovation, that is our current research strategy document, and that is what we launched in April 2011 after a period of around 12 months' worth of consultation and activity. And the clear messages that came out of this really led themselves to 4 key strategic objectives. And these were really focusing around increasing crop yields, optimising inputs, increasing crop value, and preparing the industry for the future. And then around these 4 key pillars, we could then deliver there was around 31 actually specific activities that we could focus on. And this is not just around new research projects, this is also around sort of more information and actually where there's a need for more knowledge transfer. So sometimes the messages are there, but they're just not quite getting out to the industry. And all that information is available on our website for you all to see. I'm sure it's a document you've seen at out and about events over the last few years. So a little bit of an update of what we've been doing since 2011, where we've got to. So during that time, we've issued 12 new calls for projects. So what this is when I say we've issued the calls, this is where we've been quite proactive, and there's been some real big areas that came out of those consultations that we've said, actually, this is exactly what we want to do, and this is then for the research community to set proposals to us so then we can work out what the best approach is to take this work forwards. So we've actually sort of funded 73 specific new projects during this period. And a few figures here. So we've invested £13.5 million worth of the levy since 2011 on these activities. But actually what's almost more important is we've actually been able to attract over £16 million worth of additional co-funding. Now this obviously does include the funding for the recommended list, And just an example of some of this co-funding, so this is coming from government, it's coming from agricultural charities and trusts, it's coming from commercial companies, and it's also coming from our other colleagues within the other levy bodies. And out of these 31 specific activity areas that were identified, we've actually got work going now in 28 of these areas. So we're making really good progress against this strategy, which this period of research strategy will come to an end at the end of 2014. Hence the need now to try and find out what we do going forward from January 2015. So just a few examples about where that money's been spent. This is a really nice infographic. And this shows how we've invested the money in different areas. So obviously, the recommended list, you're aware, is the single biggest research project that HGCA funds, and that's around £5.5 million that's invested over a sort of a 5-year cycle. But there's some other big areas there. So £1.6 million we've invested in soils, and we've done work here looking around organic matter, around rotations, around sort of yield maps. Also, £1.6 million we've invested around quality. So this is things like looking at animal feed quality. We've been looking at sort of some of the co-products there as alternative sources. Looking at malting quality, problems that the industry's had faced with skinning issues. And also looking at things like the quality of the oat crop. Then, just over £1.5 million has been invested in projects around disease, and we've heard a lot about this today. So there's a lot of work that's gone on looking at fungicide resistance, fungicide efficacy, and then obviously particular diseases. We've had some ongoing work on clubroot, on fusarium, and obviously Septoria and some of the other key diseases you've heard about. Then we've had £0.73 million we've invested in nutrition, and we're going to hear a bit about some of this work this afternoon, but we've funded work on nitrogen, phosphorus, sulphur, and also on micronutrients, and having a look what's happening there. £0.6 million there. This is in more work around varieties, but actually in addition to the recommended list. And a lot of this we've been trying to look at some more of the regional performance of varieties. And we invested in a series of weather stations that we could put out around the country, that we can really try and interpret some of the data we're getting at a field level, which is quite important. Then the next big thing on there we've got is weeds. So over £500,000 we've invested on weeds. And obviously one of the big things that really came out of the last consultations was around resistance, and particularly blackgrass resistance. So we put in for some work which Stephen's talked about, which is looking at things like crop competition, fallows, drilling dates, actually what other activities we can do, not just relying on herbicides. Then we've got pests there, just under £500,000. We're specifically devoted to pests so far. Again, a big focus around resistance, and we've just heard from Steve some of the challenges here that we're facing. So we've been looking at work on aphids, but also on other pests such as saddle gallmage and pollen beetle. £0.44 million there we've invested in industrial uses. So this is sort of alternative uses for the industry. So, for example, things like uses of sort of plastics and biofuels, things in that area. Then genetics, £190,000 invested that we've invested in genetics, and HGCA tends to be more of a partner when we're talking about programmes focusing on genetics, and we work an awful lot with the research councils and with the plant breeders in some really sort of big projects here, and a lot of these are sort of big £1 million plus projects. And some of the things that we've currently been focusing on have been things like sort of take-all resistance, eye spot, rigosporum, but we've also been looking not only at resistance, but things like sort of root structure as well is quite important. There's a lot going on underneath the soil, I think, that we still don't really understand. And then there, sort of the bottom on the list, but it's not really, it's a little bit deceptive, £140,000 that we've badged under sort of work we've done for the environment. And this really includes work, projects that we've done on water use and also on sort of greenhouse gas and carbon accounting. But actually, a lot of the work that we do has an underpinning environmental theme. So we've got things that is looking at sort of reduced inputs and biodiversity. There's a lot of our projects where a sort of a secondary factor is actually all about the environment. So that just gives you a bit of a snapshot about where we've invested that money in over the last few years. And if we talk now about how we develop this strategy going forward, so there's sort of 3 key activities that we really do. We'll hold consultation meetings. We're going to go out and have lots of one-to-one consultations with the industry. And also we have a launch of our questionnaire, which is something we've been doing for the last sort of 2 or 3 strategies. And in your delegate packs, you will see, you don't get away, we have copies of the questionnaire there. So there's a bit of background on there, just showing you what we've invested in. And then if you open it up, it is just a single-side questionnaire where we just want you to give us your priorities on whether it's a high, medium, low priority, or actually HGCA shouldn't be doing this at all. And there's opportunities for you to put additional comments on there. So it's simple, but actually we'll get an awful lot of information from that. So if we can get as many of these completed today, and if you can do some of these over lunchtime, that'd be fantastic, then that would be really helpful. But if you don't have time today, you have to run away then. You can post them back to us. It's a free post. You just need to pop a couple of staples in there. And you can also answer this questionnaire on the HGCA website as well. So, you know, we have lots of opportunities for you to talk to us because it's actually so important that the levy's invested where it needs to be spent. So the first 6 months of this next year is really going to be focusing on collecting data and going out and talking to people. And then the remaining 6 months is going to be really looking at that data, analysing it, reviewing it, and then designing and drafting a strategy that we will be able to launch in January 2015. Okay, so finally, I think it's really important when we're talking about what we do is actually how we can make the levy go further. There's so much competition now for funding sources that it's a really high priority. It's something we work extremely hard on to try and get more out of the levy and attract as much co-funding as possible. And actually, there's quite a lot of opportunities out there at the moment that are coming up where we can do this. There's opportunities within Europe, so Horizon 2020 is a big framework. There's a lot of activity happening in this area at the moment, and this will really get into swing next year. We've had government funding through the Technology Strategy Board, which has been an enterprise that's really helped to work, helping to deliver sort of benefits to commercial companies, and that obviously the industry will get the benefit of there. We still work alongside with DEFRA, and also we do quite a lot of work with the research councils, in particular the Natural Environment Research Council, and also the Biotechnology and Biological Sciences Research Council. But at the moment, the thing that's out there is creating an awful lot of buzz is this UK strategy for agricultural technology, the Agritech strategy. Now, this is something that Claire touched on first thing this morning, where government has put in £160 million in over the next 5 years, and there's going to be lots of opportunities for HGCA to get involved in this. And the real difference is actually the whole aim of this strategy is to bring together the industry and the research partners to deliver something that's actually not going to fund basic science, it's not going to sit on a shelf, this is going to deliver strategies and solutions that actually can be applied on farm and out within the industry. So this is sort of a really exciting, and we'll be engaging quite a lot with this. And this is just saying that really, we really do value your input into this consultation period. So please do complete those questionnaires. And again, you can do them on paper or you can do them online. There are opportunities where you'll be able to get involved with more detailed discussions. So we'll be going around the country and there'll be different workshops and meetings we'll be involved in. So look on the website and I'm sure we'll publicise those. And finally, if you've got any real particular issues that you don't think are going to be covered through any of those questionnaires, or you want to talk in a bit more detail, then please do come and talk to me. My email address is there. I'm around all day. Come and chat to me in the lunch break, coffee break, or just give me a bell anytime. And I think that just leaves me to say thank you very much and enjoy your lunch.
Thank you very much, Vicky. Thank you.